Emily, a rude and mannerless daughter of a billionaire, humiliates her poor boyfriend John at her birthday proposal. But years later, John's unexpected action changes everything so fast. Even Emily never imagined it. Hello, our dear viewers. Before the story begins, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Also, let us know in the comments which country you are watching from. The grand hall shimmered with lights, music, and elegant decor as guests filled the space in their finest outfits, taking pictures and chatting in lively groups. At the center of all the excitement was Emily, known by many as the rude and stubborn daughter of a millionaire, celebrating her 20th birthday in extravagant style. Not far away, John stood quietly beside his mother, Lucy, holding a small velvet ring box in his palm. Lucy smiled warmly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "John, this is a beautiful moment. Emily cares about you. I'm sure everything will turn out well." John tried to smile, though nerves twisted in his stomach. "She's been avoiding me for weeks. But maybe she's just overwhelmed with the party." Lucy squeezed his arm gently. "Believe in yourself. You're doing this because you love her." Before he could respond, the MC raised the microphone and the music softened. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our lovely celebrant to cut her birthday cake. Please give a warm round of applause for Emily Adams." The crowd erupted into cheers. Emily stepped forward like she was walking a runway, confident, glamorous, and smiling brightly for the cameras. People clapped and admired her presence. Lucy leaned toward her son. "Go stand where she can see you. Don't hide." John moved closer to the front of the crowd. His two friends, Michael and Sam, joined him quickly. Michael whispered, "You ready? This is your moment." Sam added with a nod, "Just breathe. You'll be fine." John swallowed hard. "I just hope I'm doing the right thing." At the cake table, Emily took the knife. Confetti burst around her as she posed for photos. And the guests counted down with the MC. 1, 2, 3. Emily sliced the cake gracefully. The hall cheered. Cameras flashed. Music returned. John felt his heart pounding. "This is it." Lucy whispered behind him. "Go on, John, now." He took a deep, shaky breath and walked toward the stage. As he stepped up, the crowd gradually grew quieter. Heads turned. Emily noticed him immediately, and her smile faded. Michael whispered to Sam, "She doesn't look pleased." Sam murmured, "This might get messy." John reached the center of the stage, forcing out a trembling voice. "Emily." Emily frowned sharply. "John, what are you doing?" John went down on one knee. The entire hall gasped. "Emily Adams," he said, voice shaking. "You mean everything to me. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" Silence filled the hall. Emily stared at him without blinking. Then, slap. Her hand struck his face with a sharp crack that echoed through the speakers. Gasps erupted across the hall. Lucy covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "Oh my goodness, Emily." John's head jerked from the impact. He stayed frozen, ring box still open in his trembling hand. Emily's voice sliced through the room. "Have you completely lost your mind? Who told you I would ever marry you? Look at you. Look at what you are." John tried to speak. "Emily, please, let's talk." "Not here." "Enough," she snapped. "I don't want anything to do with you. You shouldn't have been on this stage. You embarrassed me." The guests murmured in shock. Michael rubbed his forehead. "This is terrible." Sam's voice tightened. She didn't need to slap him. Lucy stepped forward. "Emily, that was cruel. My son doesn't deserve that." Even Emily's parents exchanged troubled looks. Mr. Adams whispered, "This is too harsh. He has always cared for her." Mrs. Adams sighed. "I told her the relationship wouldn't last, but humiliating him like this. I never expected this." John slowly stood, eyes burning with humiliation. He closed the ring box quietly. "I'm sorry," he whispered, not to Emily but to himself. He turned to walk off the stage. Lucy reached him first. "John, sweetheart." But he couldn't speak. Michael stepped beside him. "Let's take you outside for some space." Sam nodded. "You don't have to stay here." John lowered his head, trying to stay composed. But Emily wasn't finished. She lifted the microphone. "Before anyone starts feeling sorry for him," she announced, "there's something important I need to share." Silence returned instantly. Emily raised her chin proudly. "I already have someone in my life. Someone who matches my status. Someone worthy of me." Gasps spread across the hall. Lucy's hand tightened on John's arm. Emily gestured toward the entrance. "Please welcome Ethan Blake." Heads turned as Ethan, a tall, confident young man, walked through the crowd with ease. People stepped aside naturally, whispering among themselves. Michael whispered, "So this was her plan." Sam muttered, "Unbelievable." Ethan reached the stage and kissed Emily on the cheek. Cameras flashed rapidly. Ethan greeted the crowd. "Good evening." Emily held his hand. "This is the man I love. Not the one who tried to force a moment he wasn't invited into." The hall grew heavier with tension. John felt the sting of her words even deeper than the slap. Mrs. Adams leaned toward her husband. "This is getting out of hand." Mr. Adams replied quietly, "Our daughter is making a mistake she'll regret." Ethan smiled dramatically. "Shall we make this official?" Emily nodded eagerly. Then, Ethan went down on one knee. The hall erupted into a mix of cheering and outrage. "Emily Adams," Ethan said boldly, "will you marry me?" Emily gasped dramatically. "Yes, yes, Ethan, I will." Half the hall applauded loudly, dazzled by the spectacle and the wealth behind it. The other half stared in disbelief. That was heartless. She humiliated the poor guy first. "This is wrong." John stood in the crowd, devastated, watching the girl he loved accept another proposal right after crushing him. Lucy gently turned him. "John, let's leave. You don't deserve any of this." Michael stepped forward. "We're with you, okay?" Sam added softly, "Don't let this break you." John nodded slowly, unable to speak. His chest felt heavy, his steps even heavier. On the stage, Emily lifted her new engagement ring toward the cameras while Ethan wrapped his arm around her. They posed confidently, smiling proudly. Emily didn't look toward John, not even once. But the guests did. They watched him walk toward the exit with his mother and friends, whispering, "That boy must be hurting. She shouldn't have slapped him. Life is unpredictable. He will rise again." John pushed the doors open and stepped away from the noise, the applause, the cruelty, and the future he once imagined with Emily. He did not look back. As they made their way through the wide hall, John stayed silent, his steps slow and heavy. His face showed the weight of everything that had just happened. Lucy walked close, watching him carefully, while Michael and Sam flanked his sides like silent guards. The hall wasn't completely empty. A pair of young ladies passed by, whispering loudly enough for the entire group to hear. One of them snickered. "So that's the guy who tried to use a billionaire's daughter to escape poverty." The other shook her head. "He better focus on getting a real job instead of dreaming above his level." Their mocking laughter echoed behind them. John stopped. His shoulders stiffened, and without warning, tears spilled down his cheeks. He didn't hide them. He didn't even try. Lucy touched his arm gently. "John, look at me," she said softly. "Those words are nothing but noise. Don't carry them." But the pain in his eyes cut deeper than the sting of any insult. Michael stepped forward. "They don't know you," he said firmly. "Don't let strangers decide who you are," Sam added quietly. "You face something no one expects. Anyone would feel shaken." John wiped his face with trembling fingers. "I didn't go there to embarrass myself," he whispered. "I truly cared about her." Lucy nodded. "And that honesty makes you stronger than every person who mocked you today." They continued walking, moving toward the exit of the premises. John's breaths were unsteady, but each step pulled him further from the humiliation inside the hall. Michael glanced at him. "You're going to heal from this, even if it doesn't feel like it right now." Sam gave him a small push on the shoulder. "And when you do, you'll look back and realize she never deserved you in the first place." John let out a long, shaky exhale. "Thank you, all of you." Lucy smiled softly. "We're going home. That's what matters." Together they moved past the last doorway, leaving the lights, the noise, and the hurt behind them. Their steps carried them toward the comfort of their home, a place where John didn't have to prove anything to anyone. That evening, the house felt unusually quiet when they stepped inside. Lucy locked the door gently while John took a seat on the small couch, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. His eyes were tired, but his mind was buzzing. Lucy sat beside him slowly. "John, I'm still trying to understand everything that happened back there. I never thought Emily would go that far." John exhaled deeply. "I didn't expect it either. Mom, I knew she could act tough sometimes, but humiliating me like that, I didn't see it coming." Lucy shook her head. "It wasn't just rejection. It was cruel." John nodded. "That's what shocked me. Emily wasn't always like that, but I've always felt her mother didn't want me around. She never hid it. Maybe Emily listened to her more than I realized." Lucy tilted her head. "Tundi, you think her mother influenced her?" "I'm starting to believe so," John replied quietly. "Emily's mom has always treated me like I wasn't good enough. Maybe tonight was the result of all those small comments she planted in Emily's mind." Lucy sighed and placed a comforting hand on his back. "It pains me to see you hurt like this. No mother wants to see her child crushed. John lifted his head, determination slowly shaping his expression. Mom, I need to talk to Emily tomorrow. Lucy's eyes widened slightly. Talk to her? After everything she did? Yes, he answered calmly. I need to hear her side. I need to know why she behaved like that. I can't just pretend it didn't happen. Lucy hesitated. Are you sure it's wise? Her family might not welcome you. They might see it as confrontation. I'm not going there to fight, John said. I just want clarity. I deserve that much. Lucy studied his face for a long moment. You really mean it? I do, John whispered. I need answers. Otherwise, I'll carry this pain with no explanation. Lucy finally nodded. All right, if this is what your heart needs, then go. But promise me something. Promise me you'll be careful. John managed a small, grateful smile. I will, Mom. I just want to know the truth. Lucy leaned back on the couch, her expression softening. No matter what happens tomorrow, you're not alone. I'm with you. John nodded slowly, letting her words settle inside him. For the first time since the incident, his breathing steadied. He didn't know what the next day would bring, but he knew one thing. He couldn't walk away without understanding why everything shattered the way it did. Meanwhile, at the Adams residence, the atmosphere carried a thick tension. Emily walked ahead of her parents, still smiling faintly from the attention she received at the party. Her father, Adam, closed the door behind them and turned toward her with a stern expression. Emily, he said quietly, sit down. We need to talk. Emily hesitated, then dropped onto the couch. Her mother, Vanessa, stood proudly beside her, arms folded. Adam looked straight at his daughter. What you did today? It wasn't right. Emily's smile faded. Dad, He raised a hand gently. Let me finish. You embarrassed someone who cared about you, publicly, with no regard for his feelings. Vanessa immediately stepped forward. Adam, don't start lecturing her. She did what she should have done long ago. That boy has no place near her. Adam turned toward his wife with disappointment. Vanessa, this isn't about status. It's about kindness. What Emily did was heartless. Emily frowned. Dad, I didn't want him proposing to me. He didn't force anything. Adam interrupted. He believed you loved him. That's not a crime. Vanessa clicked her tongue and crossed her arms tighter. A poor boy dreaming above his level, that's what it was. I will never support anything that drags my daughter backward. Adam stared at her in disbelief. Backward? Vanessa, do you forget where I came from? Before all this wealth, I was just like him, struggling, trying to find a way. If someone had treated me that way years ago, do you know how broken I would have been? Vanessa shook her head. You were different. That boy has nothing to offer her. That's exactly how people spoke about me when I had nothing. Adam replied firmly. But I became successful. Anyone can change their story. Emily looked between her parents, unsure of what to say. Adam breathed out slowly. Emily, I'm not saying you must marry him. But the cruelty, slapping him, mocking him, humiliating him, that was wrong. Vanessa stepped closer to her husband. You're missing the point. I'm protecting our daughter. She deserves someone equal to her. Adam's jaw tightened. Equal doesn't mean rich. Equal means someone who loves her. Vanessa waved a dismissive hand. Love won't pay her bills. Love won't build her future the way Ethan will. Adam ran a hand through his hair, exhausted by the argument. You're teaching her the wrong things. Vanessa lifted her chin sharply. And I'll say one thing clearly. She pointed toward the door. From this day forward, that boy must never step inside this house again. I won't tolerate him anywhere near Emily. Adam stared at his wife for a long moment, disappointment shadowing his face. Without another word, he turned and walked towards upstairs, unhappy. Emily watched him go, her expression shifting slightly, though she said nothing. Vanessa sat beside her daughter and placed a hand on her arm. You did the right thing today, and I'll make sure no one like him ever brings shame to you again. Emily accepted her mother's words, but unease lingered, and as they walked inside, trouble silently gathered around their future. The next day, John gathered all his courage and made his way to the Adams mansion. His body still felt heavy from the humiliation of the previous evening, but he needed answers. He needed closure. As he stepped onto the driveway, one of the guards blocked him immediately. I'm here to see Emily, John said calmly. Please let her know I'm outside. The guard exchanged glances with another, then reluctantly went to inform the family. A moment later, Emily herself appeared at the entrance of the mansion. She didn't come close. She stayed several steps away, arms folded, glaring at him like he was a nuisance. John, why are you here? She asked sharply. I just want to talk, John said, trying to keep his voice steady. Just a few minutes, please. There's nothing to talk about, Emily replied coldly. You shouldn't have come. John took a small step forward. Emily, what happened yesterday? I deserve an explanation. Even if you don't want me, the way you handled everything? She lifted a hand. Save it. I don't care about your feelings. Just then, Vanessa stepped out beside her daughter. Her expression filled with hostility. Why is he still standing here? Vanessa demanded. Didn't I make myself clear? He is not welcome here. John looked at her desperately. Ma'am, please. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to understand why. Vanessa cut him off instantly. You heard my daughter. Leave, right now. John shook his head slowly, pain tightening his chest. I won't fight. I won't shout. I just need a moment with her. Vanessa turned to the guards with a flick of her wrist. Remove him. The guards approached John quickly. Wait, John said, raising his hands. I don't want any trouble, They grabbed him by the arms before he could finish. Emily folded her arms and watched without a hint of concern. Take him outside the gates, Vanessa ordered. He needs to learn boundaries. The guards escorted him across the compound with firm, unkind grips on his arms. John tried to steady himself, but their rough handling made it difficult. When they reached the gate, they released him abruptly, causing him to lose his footing and fall to his knees, making him sustain injury that weakened him. There was no real harm done, but the embarrassment of being thrown out so harshly cut deeper than anything else. Don't ever come back here, one guard said sharply. This place is off limits to you. Another gatekeeper echoed Vanessa's words. You've been warned. They stepped back into the compound and shut the gate loudly behind them. John sat on the ground, breath unsteady, his heart aching more than his body. Tears welled in his eyes, not just from the treatment, but from the realization that the girl he loved had chosen cruelty over conversation. A young woman passing by saw him sitting alone. She approached quickly. Sir, are you all right? What happened? She asked, kneeling beside him. I'll be fine, John murmured, trying to wipe his face. You're not fine, she insisted gently. Please, let me take you to the hospital. John shook his head weakly. No, don't take me there. Please, just take me to my mother. She hesitated. Are you sure? Yes, he whispered. She needs to know. The young woman helped him stand and guided him to a waiting taxi. She supported him as he settled into the back seat. Give me the address, she said softly. John told her, and the taxi began moving away from the mansion, away from the rejection, the bitterness, the humiliation. Inside the taxi, the woman kept glancing at John, sensing the heaviness behind his silence. Please, tell me what happened, she urged softly. John inhaled slowly. I went to see someone I care about, Emily. His voice wavered. I thought we could talk, maybe fix things. But she didn't even let me inside the house. She stood there, looking at me like I was a stranger. The woman frowned, listening closely. Then her mother came out too, John continued. They didn't want to hear anything I tried to say. They called their security team and told them to take me out, not hurt me, just remove me like I didn't belong there. He looked down at his hands. They dragged me out to the gate and pushed me outside. It wasn't painful, just humiliating. The woman's eyes softened with sympathy. So that's how I found you sitting on the ground. John nodded. I didn't know what to do. I just stayed there for a moment. She shook her head slowly. No one should be treated that way, especially by someone they love. After a short drive, the taxi rolled to a stop in front of the small house. The young woman stepped out first, holding the door open for John as he carefully climbed out. His movements were slow, his posture weakened, and his face carried the heavy shadow of everything he had just endured. Lucy had been standing near the doorway, anxiously looking up and down the street. The moment she spotted John leaning on the young woman, she froze. Her breath caught in her throat. John? She called, hurrying across the yard. John tried to straighten, but the tiredness in his body made it difficult. The woman beside him tightened her grip on his arm to keep him steady. Lucy reached them, her voice shaking. John, oh my goodness. What happened to you? I knew this would happen. I knew it. John lowered his head, his voice faint but steady. Mom, I went to talk to her. Just like I told you I would. Lucy placed her hands gently on his cheeks, her eyes filling with worry. I told you it wasn't safe. I told you those people don't want you near that mansion. Why didn't you listen? The young woman swallowed softly and spoke. Ma'am, I found him just outside the gate. He was sitting on the ground, trying to catch his breath. He looked hurt and confused. I couldn't leave him there. Lucy turned to her with deep gratitude. Thank you, my dear. Thank you for bringing my son home. The woman nodded humbly. He explained everything in the taxi. I didn't know people could treat someone so unfairly. He didn't deserve any of it. Lucy looked back at her son. John, tell me exactly what happened. Did Emily see you? John exhaled slowly. Yes, she saw me. She didn't even let me inside the house. She stood at the entrance and asked what I was doing there. When I tried to explain, she told me to leave. He paused, swallowing hard as the memory replayed. Then her mother came out. She spoke to me like I was some kind of troublemaker. She didn't want to hear anything. She didn't want to understand. The young woman added gently. She told him to step out of the compound. And when he didn't move quickly enough, the guards came. They didn't hit him, but they handled him roughly. They dragged him to the gate and forced him out. She looked down sadly. I found him right after that. Lucy shook her head, hurt and angry at the same time. Those people, how can they do this? How can they treat my son like he's nothing? John leaned lightly against her shoulder. Mom, I just wanted to clear things up. I thought maybe she acted out of confusion yesterday. I didn't expect her to react like this. And hearing her mother talk, everything suddenly made sense. The woman looked between them, her face soft with sympathy. She said, but honestly it wasn't his fault. No one deserves to be humiliated that way. Lucy nodded slowly. Thank you again, dear. Truly. Not everyone would stop to help a stranger. The woman gave a small, shy smile. I'm glad I was there. I should be going now. Please take care of him. John lifted his head a little. Thank you. I mean it. You helped me when you didn't have to. You're welcome, she replied warmly. She stepped back toward the waiting taxi, waved gently, and got in. The taxi pulled away from the house. Lucy watched it leave before, turning back to John. I knew this would happen, she whispered, though her voice held more worry than scolding. I knew you going there wasn't going to end well. John sighed. I know, Mom, but I needed to hear from her. I needed to understand why she acted that way. Lucy wrapped his arm over her shoulder to support him. Come on, let's get you inside. They walked slowly toward the house, Lucy guiding him with careful steps. As they entered, she settled him onto the couch, placing a cushion behind him. John leaned back, exhausted, letting the quiet of the room surround him. Lucy sat beside him, her eyes watching him closely, still shaken by the sight of him earlier. Rest, she murmured. We'll talk more when you're ready. John nodded weakly. Okay, Mom. The room fell into a deep, heavy silence, as evening settled quietly over the house. The soft glow of the small living room lamp cast warm shadows across the walls as John rested on the couch. His breathing was steadier now, and though his body still ached, the sharp sting of the day's humiliation had softened into a heavy, tiring ache. Lucy walked in slowly and sat beside him. She looked at him for a long moment before speaking, her voice low and full of emotion. John, she began gently, I've been thinking about everything that's been happening to you, and I'm not happy, not one bit. You don't deserve any of this. John turned his head slightly toward her. Mom, I'm fine. No, she said quietly, shaking her head. You're not fine. I saw you today. I saw how broken you looked. And what hurts me most is knowing that someone you love, someone you respect, could treat you like that because they think they're better. John swallowed, his voice soft. Mom, Emily wasn't always like this. I know, Lucy replied. But she changed. And her mother, goodness knows what she's been feeding that girl. They think wealth makes them untouchable. She paused, letting out a slow breath. And I can't sit here and watch you suffer again because of people who look down on us. John looked at her, confused. What do you mean? Lucy reached for his hand. I spoke with your uncle some time ago, your late father's brother. He lives in the city. He told me that anytime you're ready, you can come stay with him, start fresh, learn new things, build a better life. John frowned slightly. Mom, you want me to leave town? I want you to grow, she said firmly. I want you to become the man I know you're meant to be, not the boy they push around. I want Emily to look back one day and regret ever thinking she was above you. John hesitated, his heart torn. But leaving everything behind? Leaving you? Lucy smiled gently. I'll be fine. What matters now is your future, and staying here will only hold you back. He looked down, his fingers tightening around hers. Silence stretched between them before he finally whispered, All right, I'll go. If it means a better life, I'll go. Lucy's eyes softened with pride. Good, we'll prepare in a few months. You'll rise, John, I know it. John nodded slowly, feeling something inside him shift, a quiet determination replacing the pain. He leaned back, staring ahead as a new thought formed in his mind. A new path was opening, and he was ready to take the first step. A few weeks later, The morning air felt heavier than usual as Lucy walked beside John toward the bus stop. His small luggage rolled quietly across the pavement, and neither of them spoke at first. The silence wasn't cold, just full of emotions neither could easily put into words. When they reached the bus, John turned to her. "Mom, thank you for everything." Lucy tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "Just promise me one thing," she whispered. "Promise you'll go out there and become the man I know you can be." "I promise," John said softly. She touched his face gently, memorizing every feature. "You're my only child, John. Watching you leave, it's not easy." The driver called out, "All passengers, please board." John inhaled deeply. "I'll make you proud, Mom." "You already have," she replied. He climbed into the bus with slow, careful steps. Lucy stood outside, wiping her eyes as quietly as she could. Through the window, John found her and pressed his palm against the glass. She mirrored the gesture. The engine rumbled to life. The bus began to pull away. Lucy waved, her tears streaming freely now. "Go, my boy. Go and shine," she whispered. John leaned toward the window, watching her shrink into the distance. His eyes glistened, a mixture of pain, hope, and determination burning inside him. As the bus turned onto the open road, he took one last look until she was completely out of sight. Lucy remained standing there long after the bus had disappeared. The wind brushed against her face, drying the tears she didn't bother to hide. Slowly she turned and began walking home. Each step felt heavy, but her heart held a quiet strength. Her house felt different when she entered. Quiet, almost too quiet. She looked around the empty room and let out a shaky breath. "I'll miss you, John," she murmured. "But this path, it will shape you." She sat down for a moment, closing her eyes, imagining her son stepping into a brighter future. And with a small, steady nod, she gathered her strength and faced the days ahead because she believed completely in the journey he had just begun. The long journey finally ended as the bus rolled into the city. John leaned toward the window, his tired eyes widening at the sight before him. Tall buildings rose like giants. The roads were cleaner, broader, and filled with movement that made his village feel like a distant memory. He stepped out of the bus and inhaled deeply. It was his first time in a big city, and everything looked brighter, louder, and different. He pulled out the small paper Lucy gave him before he traveled, the address of his uncle. Holding it carefully, he moved through the busy park, asking one or two people for directions, until he located the path the driver told him to follow. After a short walk, he finally stood in front of a clean, modern house with smooth walls, large windows, and a neatly trimmed compound. After a short walk, he finally stood in front of a clean, modern house with smooth walls, large windows, and a neatly trimmed compound. John stared for a moment, almost unsure if he was at the right place. Before he could knock, the door opened. His uncle, Mr. Raymond, stepped out with a warm smile. "John, is this truly you?" John nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." Raymond pulled him into a light, welcoming hug. "Ah, you've grown. You look stronger than the last time I saw you. Come in, come in." John stepped into the house, looking around with open curiosity. The interior was even more beautiful. Polished tiles, soft lighting, and furniture that looked almost new. It was far more modern than anything he had ever lived in. A gentle voice came from the living room. "Is that him?" Raymond led John forward. "Yes, Clara, this is my brother's son." Clara, Raymond's wife, stood from the couch with a calm smile. She looked at John carefully, observing his polite posture and the way he held his bag respectfully in both hands. Something about his humility touched her immediately. Not attraction, but admiration. She found his quiet tone and gentle manners refreshing, and she say in her mind, "He's cute and handsome, "Welcome, John," she said softly. "I heard your mother is a very strong woman. You came from a good home." John lowered his head slightly. "Thank you, Ma." They all sat in the parlor. Raymond leaned forward, his voice turning emotional for a moment. "It still pains me that your father, my brother, is no longer with us. He should have seen you today. He would be proud." John swallowed hard. "My mother said the same thing." Raymond nodded and continued. "This city may feel strange now, but if you are dedicated and hardworking, this place will change your life. The company we helped you find is a good one. In 5 years, even 8 years, your life will not remain the same." John listened carefully, the weight of his uncle's words sinking into him. Clara added gently, "You're safe here. Anything you need, let me know. Your family." John nodded respectfully. "Yes, Ma. Thank you." For a moment, there was a comfortable silence. Then Raymond stood up. "Let me go inside and arrange a few things. John, make yourself comfortable." He walked away, leaving John and Clara alone in the parlor. Clara gave him a kind glance. "You must be tired," she said. "Traveling that long is not easy." John exhaled slowly. "It was stressful, but I'm grateful to be here." "That's good," she replied. "Your mother raised you well. You speak with so much respect." Her simple compliment made John sit a little straighter. She wasn't looking at him in any improper way. She simply admired his manner, the calmness in his voice, the way he listened before speaking. She saw potential in him. "If you need water or anything, just ask," she added before heading toward her room. "Yes, Ma. Thank you." When she was gone, John finally allowed himself to breathe. The journey had drained him, and the new environment felt overwhelming. He looked around again, still amazed at how modern the house was. A few minutes later, Raymond returned. "John, bring your bag," he said with a smile. "Let me show you your room." They walked down the hallway to a neatly arranged bedroom. Clean sheets, a small study table, and enough space for him to breathe and grow. "This is your room," Raymond said proudly. "You'll stay here as long as you want. Rest well. Tomorrow is another day." John placed his bag gently on the bed. "Thank you, sir." Raymond patted his shoulder. "You're safe here." When his uncle left the room, John sat on the bed and looked around slowly. It felt unreal. A new city, a new home, a new beginning. He lay back on the mattress, exhaling deeply. His journey had officially begun, and tomorrow, his new life would take its first real step. Months had passed since John began his new job in the city. From the very first day, he had thrown himself into his work with determination. Every morning he arrived early, reviewed reports carefully, and stayed late when necessary. His colleagues noticed, but it was his boss who had truly begun to pay attention. One morning, as John organized files on his desk, Mr. Henderson approached, leaning casually against the edge. "John, got a minute?" he asked, eyes scanning the room before resting on him. "Of course, sir," John replied, standing a bit straighter. Henderson studied him, then smiled faintly. "I've been in this business over 20 years. I've met a lot of people, but I have to say, your work ethic is impressive. Honestly, I've never seen someone so dedicated and precise." John blinked, a smile forming. "Thank you, sir. I just try to do my best." "Best?" Henderson raised an eyebrow. "John, it's more than that. You double-check everything. You organize tasks efficiently. You take responsibility even when it's not expected. You approach your work like it actually matters, and it does. That kind of dedication is rare these days." John's chest swelled. "I appreciate you saying that, sir. It means a lot." Henderson leaned in slightly. "Listen, I don't say this lightly. Keep this up. We'll be rewarding you soon, I promise. Your efforts aren't just noticed, they're valued. You've got potential here, more than you probably realize." John felt his heart lift, pride bubbling inside him. "I won't let you down, sir. I'll keep giving my all." "Good," Henderson replied, straightening. "And don't forget, excellence attracts opportunities. Stay disciplined, stay committed, and I have no doubt you'll go far." As Henderson walked away, John exhaled slowly, letting the praise sink in. He returned to his files with a lighter step, a renewed sense of purpose. Even his colleagues noticed the change, some smiling at the subtle confidence in his stride. By the time he left the office that evening, John's spirits were high. Every long hour, every challenge he had faced now felt worth it. For the first time in months, he felt that the path he was on was not just a job, but a stepping stone towards something greater. That evening, John returned home, a satisfied smile lingering on his face. The city streets blurred past as he replayed every word his boss had said. Recognition after months of hard work felt exhilarating. "Uncle Raymond? Clara?" he called, stepping into the modern house. The living room was quiet. His uncle was likely still finishing work. Only Clara sat there, her eyes following him with a mixture of curiosity and something else he couldn't yet identify. "John, back early," she said smoothly, tilting her head. "I just finished work," John replied, placing his bag near the door. It was a good day. He let the memory of his boss's praise fill him with pride. Clara's gaze lingered. She noticed his posture, the calm confidence in his movements, the clarity in his voice. "He's different," she thought. "So composed, so precise. And he's handsome. What a gentle, remarkable guy." She felt a spark of admiration, almost fascination. John started toward his room, expecting to rest. But Clara rose and stepped lightly into his path. "You seem happy tonight," she said, voice smooth but probing. "Tell me what made your day so special. And apart from that, why have you been ignoring me? Stop behaving like a kid. You are a full-grown man." John shook his head firmly. "That's private, Ma. I prefer to keep work at work. Clara smiled, playful yet intent. Come on, I just want to share in your joy. Don't be so serious. John's tone sharpened slightly, calm but unwavering. Clara, you are my uncle's wife. I can never cross that line. I'm here to learn, to work and to grow. Nothing else. Her eyes widened for a moment. She had underestimated him. She opened her mouth, but he didn't wait. Slinging his bag over his shoulder, he moved toward the door, every step resolute. Clara watched silently as John ran away, the weight of his words lingering. He's unwavering, principled, and determined. Nothing I say could sway him. Outside, John inhaled deeply, letting the cool air clear his mind. The night carried a quiet hum, distant traffic and the soft glow of city lights surrounding him. Each step reminded him why he was here, to build a life with diligence, integrity and focus. He walked to a nearby park bench and sat, letting the calm settle over him. The memory of his boss's words, recognition for months of effort, late nights and learning, reinforced his sense of purpose. Integrity, perseverance and self-respect were his foundation. Nothing, not temptation nor comfort, would derail him. That night, John walked through the quiet streets until he found a small, clean hotel. He booked a room, dropped his bag on the chair, and sat on the edge of the bed, exhaling slowly. The weight of what happened at the house settled on him, but so did relief. He had made the right choice. No distraction, no temptation, nothing would ever derail his future. The next morning, he arrived at the office earlier than usual. His boss, Mr. Henderson, was in his office reviewing documents when John knocked. "Come in," Henderson said. John stepped inside, his expression composed but serious. "John," Henderson said, noticing his tone. "Is everything all right?" "Yes, sir," John replied, standing straight. "But I need to explain something that happened at home yesterday." Henderson folded his arms, giving him his full attention. "Go ahead." John told him everything, how his uncle wasn't home, how Clara tried to cross a boundary, and how he refused immediately and left the house that same night. Henderson listened carefully, not interrupting. When John finished, he added softly, "I came here today because I believe honesty matters, sir, and I don't want anything from outside to affect my work." For a moment the office was quiet. Then Henderson nodded slowly. "John, I appreciate you for sharing this. Not everyone would. It shows courage, responsibility, and discipline." John bowed his head lightly. "Thank you, sir. You acted wisely," Henderson continued. "And you protected your integrity. Not many people can walk away from pressure like that. I'm proud of how you handled it." A small smile touched John's face. "I just want to stay focused on my goals." "And you will," Henderson said firmly. "Keep this strength. It will take you very far." John thanked him and stepped out of the office, gently closing the door behind him. As soon as the door clicked shut, Henderson leaned back in his chair, exhaling with quiet admiration. "This man," he muttered to himself. "A truthful man, a disciplined man. If he can stand firm in a moment like that, then he is capable of leading others. He's exactly the kind of example this company needs." He glanced toward the door where John had exited, a thoughtful smile forming. "Yes," he whispered, "he has a future here." And with that, John walking back to his desk with renewed confidence, unaware that his honesty and discipline had just unlocked greater doors ahead. Years passed, and the company continued to grow. The owner eventually decided to expand into other countries. Before traveling, he handed full control of the present branch to John, trusting his discipline and the strong character he had shown from the beginning. John's life changed completely. He became financially stable, respected, and confident. He also got married to a loving woman named Grace, and together they built a warm and peaceful home. One evening, John returned from work and settled into the living room. Grace joined him, resting beside him with a bright, calm smile. "You look satisfied today," she said gently. John chuckled. "I was just thinking about how far everything has come. Sometimes it still feels unreal." Grace touched his arm. "It's your hard work, John. The company is different because of you. You've carried it with so much strength." John looked at her, grateful. "I didn't do it alone. You stood with me through every challenge. Your support kept me going." She shook her head with a soft laugh. "Still, you earned this life. The way you lead, the discipline you have, it inspires me." John exhaled slowly. "Back then, I didn't know one decision could change everything. I'm just thankful it led us here." Grace leaned closer. "And I want you to know something. I'll never take your love for granted. This life we have now, I cherish it." He squeezed her hand warmly. "We built it together, Grace. As long as we keep standing for each other, we'll go even further." Grace smiled, her eyes filled with pride. They sat quietly, enjoying the moment, grateful for the journey that had shaped their lives. As the years moved forward, Emily's relationship with Ethan no longer felt like the exciting bond she once believed in. The spark that used to pull them together slowly faded into silence. Long pauses during conversations, unanswered messages, and constant excuses from Ethan that never fully made sense. Emily tried to convince herself that it was just stress or work, but deep inside, she felt the shift. The warmth was gone, and slowly, karma began to unfold in her life. Every time she tried to mend things, something else went wrong. Her job became stressful, her friendships distant, and her peace unsettled. It was as if life was returning every seed she had planted in the past, especially the hurt she once caused John. One Thursday afternoon, determined to fix her relationship, Emily decided to visit Ethan unannounced. She picked out a small gift, something she knew he liked, with the hope that a thoughtful gesture would help bring them closer again. She rehearsed her words in her head as she walked down the street toward his house. By the time she reached the door, her heart felt heavy, yet hopeful. She gently pushed the door open, calling out softly, "Ethan? Are you home?" No answer. Emily took a few steps forward, her shoes making soft taps on the floor. Then she heard movement coming from the bedroom. Smiling lightly to herself, she lifted the gift bag and walked toward the sound. But as she stepped into the doorway, her world shattered. A woman was standing inside Ethan's bedroom, adjusting her blouse and fixing her hair. With a casual expression, an expression far too familiar and comfortable for a stranger, Emily froze completely. The gift slipped from her hands to the floor. Its contents scattered everywhere, falling with a soft thud that somehow felt louder than any scream she could have made. The woman turned in surprise. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Who is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of shock and disbelief. Before the woman could respond, Ethan rushed out from behind her, clearly startled. "Emily?" he gasped. "Emily, wait, listen, just wait." Emily's eyes widened as anger and heartbreak collided inside her. "Ethan, what is going on? Who is she?" Ethan raised his hands gently, trying to calm her. "It's not what you're thinking. Emily, please just let me explain." "Then explain," she snapped, taking one shaky step backward. "Explain why someone is in your bedroom fixing her clothes." The woman opened her mouth, but Ethan quickly turned to her. "Not now," he said sharply. "Just give us a minute." But Emily had already reached her limit. Her chest rose rapidly, and her eyes glistened with hurt. Everything she had ignored, everything she excused, everything she tried to hold together, it all fell apart in the span of seconds. She shook her head slowly. "I trusted you. I defended you. I chose you, Ethan. And this is what I get? Emily, please." Ethan stepped closer, desperate. "You're misunderstanding everything." Emily stepped back again, her voice low and pained. "I'm done listening. I'm done trying." Without waiting for another word, she turned sharply and walked out of the room. "Emily!" Ethan called after her. "Don't go like this, please!" But she didn't look back. The front door slammed behind her with a force that echoed through the entire house. Inside the bedroom, the other woman nervously grabbed her bag. "Ethan, what's going to happen now?" Ethan rubbed his forehead, frustration and regret weighing heavily on him. "You need to leave, now. You don't know Emily when she's upset. I need to try and fix this before it gets worse." She nodded quickly and rushed out through the back door. Ethan hurried outside, scanning the street for Emily. But she was gone, disappeared, into the distance with her heart broken, and her spirit bruised. He took a slow step back, a sigh escaping his lips. "Why did I let it get this far?" he muttered, guilt settling into his chest. With no trace of her in sight, he walked back into the house, closing the door quietly behind him. The silence felt heavier now, almost suffocating. He glanced down and saw Emily's scattered gift on the floor, the one thing she had brought with hope, and the sight pierced him deeply. He knelt down, touching the items gently, his voice barely above a whisper. "Emily, I'm sorry." Emily walked away in silence, her heart aching, while Ethan remained alone inside, realizing too late that his choices had destroyed the only love he ever truly valued. The days that followed were heavy for Emily. Her heartbreak was only a small part of the pain she was facing. At home, things had taken a terrible turn. Her mother, Vanessa, had been involved in a serious accident months earlier, and despite multiple surgeries, she still couldn't walk. The doctors kept suggesting more procedures, but none had brought improvement. Her father, Adam, had spent almost everything trying to help Vanessa recover. Their savings were gone. Their businesses suffered. Their luxury house had to be sold, along with their cars. Now the family lived in a small, modest rented apartment, far from the glamorous life they once enjoyed. One evening, Emily sat beside Vanessa's bed, trying to hide the storm inside her. "Mom," she said quietly, "I'm really trying to stay strong, but everything feels like it's crashing at the same time." Tears on her eyes. Vanessa looked at her with gentle eyes. "Emily, life isn't finished with us. Hard times don't last forever. We'll rise again." Emily nodded, but her chest tightened. "I just hope I'm strong enough," she whispered, as tears rolled down her eyes. The room fell silent, holding their fear, their hope, and the weight of everything they were fighting through. The night closed in gently around them. The weeks rolled by peacefully in the beautiful home of John and Grace. Their mornings were calm, their evenings filled with laughter, and their lives had settled into a rhythm of gratitude and success. But one quiet afternoon, as Grace sat on the sofa sorting documents, she paused and looked over at John. He was seated across the room, finalizing some company reports. Something about the moment made Grace lean forward thoughtfully. "My love," she said gently, "have you thought about visiting your mother lately? I feel like it's been so long." John looked up, surprised that she had voiced the exact thought he had been suppressing for days. "I have, Grace, honestly. I've been missing her, and she deserves a surprise. She hasn't even seen the full completion of the house properly." Grace smiled, her eyes softening. "Then let's do it. Let's go see her in the next few weeks. No calls, no warnings. Just show up and make her happy." John's heart warmed. "You always know exactly what I'm thinking." Grace chuckled gently. "Because I love you. And your mother? She's one of my greatest blessings." They agreed immediately. Plans began in secret. Grace prepared gifts. John arranged transportation. And they both decided the trip would be simple but meaningful. Just family, love and gratitude. When the day finally arrived, their convoy rolled out of the city early in the morning. The fresh air, the open road, and the peaceful landscapes made the entire journey feel like a blessing. Grace held John's hand occasionally, smiling at how calm he looked. By midday, they reached the place. The new house John had built for his mother stood proudly at the center of the compound. Fresh paint, beautiful roofing, large windows. It looked like a dream she never expected to see in her lifetime. John's mother stepped outside, curious about the sound of cars. When she saw the security guards first, she frowned lightly. But the moment she spotted John and Grace stepping out of the main car, her hand flew to her mouth. "John? Grace? Ah, my children!" she gasped, rushing forward. John moved fast, meeting her halfway and hugging her tightly. "Mama, I missed you." Grace embraced her warmly too. "Mama, we wanted to surprise you." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "You two will not kill me with joy. What have I done to deserve this kind of love?" John laughed softly. "Plenty, Mama. You gave me strength when I had nothing." They all walked toward the house, the security guards respectfully keeping their distance. Inside the new house, his mother froze. She turned slowly, taking in the large living room, the polished tiles, the expensive furniture, the beautiful decor. It was everything she never imagined she would own. "John, this..." Her voice cracked. "This is too much." John held her shoulders gently. "This house is nothing compared to what you sacrificed for me. You didn't allow me to give up on myself. When I struggled, you pushed. When I doubted, you spoke life into me. Mama, this is your reward." She placed her palm on his cheek. "And you didn't waste your chance. Look at you now, a leader, a husband, a blessing. I'm proud of you." Grace watched them with joy in her eyes. They spent minutes admiring every corner of the house. His mother kept saying, "This is mine? Ah, God bless you both." Grace laughed and held her hands, helping her sit comfortably in the living room. Grace handed her a gift bag. "Mama, we brought a few things for you." "You people are spoiling me," she teased. As they settled in, John's mother suddenly sighed and looked down. John noticed immediately. "Mama, are you okay?" She hesitated before responding. "I don't know if I should bring sadness into this happy day." Grace touched her hand gently. "Mama, please tell us." His mother released a long breath. "It's Emily's family. Things have gone very bad for them." John's eyes narrowed slightly, listening closely. His mother continued. "Vanessa, Emily's mother, had a terrible accident. The doctor said she may never walk again. Adam used all their money to try different hospitals. They sold their big house, their cars, everything. Now they're living in a small rented apartment. Emily goes to work sad, returns sad. That girl has been crying every day." Grace whispered, "This is painful." John's mother nodded. "The whole family is struggling. They need help." John sat back slowly, absorbing the information. He had moved on with his life, but hearing this stirred something deep in him. Finally, John stood. "Mama, I want to go and see them. Grace rose immediately. I'll go with you. His mother also stood, adjusting her wrapper. I'm coming too. That family needs comfort. John placed his arm around her gently. All right, let's go together. They stepped out of the new house, the sunlight warming their faces. The security team formed a respectful line behind them as they walked toward the vehicles. They were ready to face whatever waited on the other side of the journey. The drive from John's mother's new house to Emily's family compound didn't take long, but the silence inside the car felt heavy. John stared through the tinted window, thinking about the girl who once meant everything to him and the pain she had caused. Grace held his hand gently, offering silent support, while his mother prayed quietly under her breath. After a short drive, the convoy of black SUVs slowed as they turned into a narrow street. The houses were small, worn down, and crowded together. It was nothing compared to the luxurious lifestyle Emily's family once enjoyed. When the cars pulled into the old, modest compound, John's eyes widened. "This can't be their place," he whispered. His mother sighed sadly. "My son, this is their reality now." Grace looked around, shocked. "They've really been suffering." Before anyone could step out, the security team moved into formation. The sound of the vehicles, the guards, and the quiet sirens made people peek from neighboring houses. Adam rushed out first, confused and alarmed. His eyes widened when he saw John stepping out in a well-tailored suit, followed by Grace and his mother. The guards maintained a respectful perimeter. Adam froze. "John? John, is this really you?" John nodded calmly. "Good afternoon, sir." Adam swallowed hard, overwhelmed. Without wasting a second, he shouted into the house. "Emily! Emily, come out quickly!" Emily stepped outside, adjusting her scarf, until her eyes landed on John. Her breath caught. Her hands trembled. "John?" She ran toward him, tears rushing down her cheeks. But one of the guards stepped forward, blocking her gently. "Ma'am, please." Emily tried to push past, but the guard didn't allow her. "John!" she cried. "Where have you been?" "My love. My sweetheart. It's been so long. I've missed you. Stop," John said firmly. Emily froze. "My love?" John shook his head slowly. "I was never your love. You betrayed me because I was poor." Emily's lips parted, but no words came out. Shame washed over her face. Before anyone could speak, Adam hurried back inside and wheeled out Vanessa. The once powerful woman looked frail, her hair scattered, her body weak. The moment her eyes met John's, she broke down immediately. "John," she whispered, her voice trembling. "My son, forgive me." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she covered her face with shaking hands. "I treated you horribly. I insulted you. I pushed my daughter away from you. Now look at us. We have nothing. I am paying for everything I did." Emily knelt beside her mother, crying uncontrollably. "John, please, forgive us," she begged. "Life punished us. We lost everything." John's wife Grace watched quietly, her face calm and mature. John's mother held her wrapper close, her heart heavy at the scene. Adam stepped forward. "John, please help us. Vanessa needs surgery, the expensive one. The only one that can make her walk again. We've spent everything. We don't have anything left." Emily wiped her tears. "We are suffering, John. The pain is too much. Please, please help us." John inhaled deeply, controlling his emotions. He looked at Vanessa, then at Emily, then at Adam. "I forgive all of you," he said calmly. Vanessa cried harder. Emily lowered her head in shame. "But listen carefully," John continued. "Emily, I do not want a relationship with you. That part of my life is gone. I have a wife now, a beautiful, loyal woman who loves me and stood by me." He stepped aside slightly, revealing Grace fully. Emily's heart shattered at the sight of the graceful, elegant woman beside him. John continued, "But despite what happened, I won't let your family suffer. I will pay for the surgery." Vanessa gasped, covering her mouth. "Oh God, thank you, John." "And," John added, "I will help you start a small business. Something that will help you rebuild your life." Adam held his head and began to cry. "God bless you. John, God bless you. After everything we did, you still choose to help us." John nodded. "Learn from this. Treat people well, because the poor today can become great tomorrow. Life changes for everyone." Emily struggled to speak through tears. "John, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Grace placed a gentle hand on John's arm. He looked at Emily calmly. "I wish you healing," John said softly, "but we cannot go back to the past." He signaled the head guard. One of the guards handed John a sealed envelope. John passed it to Adam. "This should take care of your basic needs until the surgery arrangements begin." Adam opened the envelope slightly and gasped when he saw the amount. "John, this is too much." "It's enough to keep you steady," John replied. John's mother stepped forward. "Let this be a lesson to all of you," she said. "Never look down on anyone because of their condition." Adam nodded quickly. Yes, we have learned." Emily and Vanessa cried silently, regret heavy in their eyes. John stepped back toward the convoy, with Grace beside him and his mother following quietly. The guards opened the car doors. As John entered the SUV, Adam turned to Emily and Vanessa. "You see what you caused?" he said, his voice breaking. "I told you this boy had a future. But you ignored me. Now see, yet, he still came to help us. Not everyone would do that." Emily buried her face in her palms. Vanessa whispered, "God sent him. Even after all we did." The convoy engine started. Emily looked up one last time as John's cars rolled out of the compound, dust rising behind them, leaving her with nothing but regret, and a hard lesson she would carry forever. Never judge or mistreat anyone because of their financial situation or temporary struggles. Life changes quickly, and the person who seems poor today might become a blessing tomorrow. Treat everyone with respect, kindness, and humility, because the way you treat people will always return to you in unexpected and powerful ways. Thank you for listening. Every story carries a lesson, a secret, and a moment that lingers. Subscribe, like, and stay with us, because the next story may reveal a truth you never expected.